Hello friends, welcome to my Princess Diana channel. Before moving on to the video, if you are not subscribed to my channel, do not forget to subscribe and turn on notifications, so let's move on to the video. Archie's memoirs will learn about the birth of Meghan in this new upcoming book. What is the reason for people's excitement about this book? Meghan's birth of Archie will also be present in the ceaseless pages of Harry's memoir, Spare. If there is a detail that is positive, it would not appear in the ordinary feeling I get when I remember. That mirror story about giving birth to Meghan will forever be vivid in my memory. When she was born, I gave her a small handheld mirror. Can someone kindly draw this for me, how the soon-to-be mother holds the mirror in order to see everything and at the same time push as much as she can with the feet in the air, and she's screaming in pain. She's only 5 feet. How's her arm is 5 feet long? I'll have to recall how a little mirror is delicately held without squirming, and how the life-giving miracle of life is seen without obstructing the vision of the vagina. I need a representation right now, 'cause I absolutely can't imagine it. To be frank, it just seems very distressing. I don't see how a mother could be taken aback by the sight of that. Imagine all the unintended feelings it will produce. Horror is a feeling that should not arise. Irq. Shock, and fear. Any mother ever wanted to see it? Maybe after a few births, but for the first time. He was not such a pretty sight at all. He definitely had not managed to hold a hand mirror watching a baby's birth with his first. Your body is doing things it never did before, and any woman who has given birth knows that among the great pain and pushing and stretching out, you couldn't have people who could hold a mirror steady. Could Harry seriously have said that he delivered the baby? I mean, I know he was getting dumber, but is he seriously crazy now? I mean, there's no way in hell a doctor from the US would have let Harry, one of the most difficult and annoying people, conduct a medical procedure. And to think that reading this book only confirms what the surrogates actually did and what they feel can be very clever with a statement, seemingly so specific but always worded in such a way to give plausible deniability. If Harry has actually written that vile book, meaning as much as a jackass as Harry, I am eating my laptop while plugged in. And how deftly he's dancing around Meghan giving birth to the baby. It's all at one die. The person who brought the fajitas eating them. The doctor letting him be in charge of anything. And the word, even worse than Hallmark writing at the end. What a stack of garbage. No laboring woman thought about food and stopped sticking her face over there. A proportion of them vomited, and some even defecated while they were bringing a child into the world to take out whatever remained of their small bodies. But ask yourself, Harry knew nothing about what childbirth meant to say it, knowing Harry knew nothing about what childbirth means to do so. The dolt and his ghostwriter were as mistaken as ever. Granted, Meghan has 5-foot-long arms and most likely looks down there in the mirror hourly, as a jack might examine the car's undercarriage for bushings. Innocent mix-up. However, perhaps some actual moms and not only midwives were consulted on this one before you publicize it? I mean, I yelled at her to push. I never clarified why. Please stop the mad bus so I may get off. First off, it's an older female, not a child. The doctor is hatching secrets. Also, these are her medical decisions, not his. What the freaking what? Second, what was the explanation? I didn't tell her why. Was it obvious to her why she had to push? Do women pause pushing because a baby's head twitches downward there frequently? Image requirement, denied. Indeed, with the exception of the doctor and nurses, anyone present knew that this weasel was just able to watch the labor. He wouldn't have been able to see anything through the hand mirror. The claw will have to be nipped off. We must all continue to laugh at these games, mustn't we? This is all that cements the story in my mind that Harry wrote it. Indeed, now that I know how mean and selfish Harry always was, I find it quite impossible to believe that he was really there in all respects for the birth of each child. I know how my own drug-addicted family members relived and went missing in a desperate episode. They cannot be expressed for physical reasons that you can count on the presence of thoughts. The addict I knew was certainly much more into the partying scene and just getting a hit to numb his feelings of such a major, life-altering event. That makes so much more sense to me in why he would give birth only in part or not at all. Whether as self-involved as Harry supposedly was in dope fiend mode, he probably would have showed up late, and then there would never have been a "my love this" or a "my love that," would have been the resentful man-child of an asshole that we have all seen glimpses of in the old photos. Sullen impotent pain, sorrowfully inconvenienced from the hassle of the partying. Quite literally, he only flashed and grinned at the sight of the nitrous canister in the hospital room. And, I want to say face down, but most babies are born face up, the back or spine goes against the mother's back. As I am not a doctor, I have no idea if this is a particularly cool type of flavor. But Meghan the narcissist would definitely have told us with heavy sobs. She had made it her business for us to always know what she had had for dinner on this night. The amount Harry explained seeing the little face, the little neck, the little chest, and arms is the way that it pops out. As Meghan also has 2 epidurals, she would probably have been laying down by now, so you wouldn't have seen her face unless you did the painful back-to-back labor. Worryingly, however, Harry didn't recognize the second detail, then it must have occurred. How do they think she has the infant? Is it these same people who may not possibly have read the spare birth accounts? Because if so, the address is for they all utilize surrogates. These are the words of the man whose wife never produced and does not possess knowledge of the way labor and delivery operate. Possibly Harry did the handheld mirror event from the film Knocked Up. While she gives birth, Katherine Heigl's character is pushing, and one person at the back end of the room holds up a handheld mirror. She, the audience, and indeed the rest of the globe get a brief peek at the infant tail. I believed it seemed somewhat faux since it was excessively hygienic. Things down there usually become kind of a little bit messy while a toddler comes out. It was a significant source of contention in the time. For this justification, that must have been a hassle for several of the spectators, because it transpired shortly without very little notify. So full of both media and one assumes, substances are Harry and Meghan that they now cannot differentiate what went down off, from what they watched on a screen. Oh, and finally, and I think maybe they used her eggs and the babies, especially Betty, ended up looking all Markle. The boy looked a little like Harry with her eyes, but if that photo of the girl on the lawn isn't a fake, then she looks just like Thomas Markle. I would guess Madam hides them, so she didn't get her Diana 2.0, and God help us she hasn't had some dodgy plastic surgeon sort them kids' faces out. It really gets dumber. More fancifully silly facts litter the epilogue of Spare. He goes straight on to mention that people had called the monarchy a cult, yet Harry calls this a death cult, because your ever best moments and happiest memories also in some way attached to death. He wrote of how depraved they were while William pleaded with Harry that he just wanted Harry to be happy. Harry calls William a liar and then goes on to dream of his newfound freedom in his California life. So he can leave his very dysfunctional family behind to dwell in their depraved death cult. Then he immediately goes on to talk about Lily's birth, gradually describing how, as soon as they got to the hospital in labor to deliver Betty, Harry had his bodyguards go get him in and out and make her Mexican fajitas. They would have eaten and eaten. By the time the bodyguard comes back, she will have gotten to advanced second stage. This is a geriatric mother, high-risk labor. However, the second birth is usually much faster than that, so the doctors always get prepared for a potential emergency C-section due to age and health issues. They would not eat themselves sick with the fajitas. It's ice chips, babe, 'cause that would be oh so devastating, to have the mother lying on her back cheese steak and then vomit. I have seen the patients who had been discharged came back for their procedure all over loss because of a report to me that they had taken very little juice and a fast. Minutes crackers have broken up 8 hours following which 10 they're reporting back at the facility. These are the fastest, minor procedures that don't involve death intensive. This certainly requires anesthesia. With the worst obstetrician, even if you wanted to, the US lawyers of the hospital alone would deter this. Harry also said that he is delivering the baby alone. Yeah. The doctor was in the room, although it was only Harry who had delivered the baby. He had seen such stuff from movies. That's it for our video, my friends. I hope you have liked it. Please let me know your thoughts in the comments, and like the video. If you haven't done so yet, if you want to be first to be informed about my content, please subscribe to the channel and make sure you turn on notifications. Thank you for spending this time with me. Take care of yourself and stay healthy. I'll see you in the next one.